You are listening to the best of ZTOTV podcasts. These are the most downloaded shows on our channel for the month of January 2021. Number 10, Getting Learned Episode 3, Animals. In this episode of Getting Learned, Hamster and Turtle share some fun tales of interacting with wildlife. Check it out.
So, for anybody that doesn't know, I live in a nice little wooded wonderland.
It is
here in
serious.
Columbus.
It is seriously. I would call this the Disney forest.
Dude, we name squirrels. We've got,
You do?
Yeah.
You name squirrels?
There's one squirrel in particular. His name's Hippo. Okay.
Hippo.
Hippo.
Is this like a fat one? Like
He got fat. So he had a really messed up tail. Like he had gotten in a fight with something and it was just all mangled. And she likes to feed them. And Hippo would always come out and she'd put a little bit on the deck for him.
I'm picturing this like this very fat squirrel that
He wasn't
can
originally.
barely-
Just think of a squirrel, but like
Okay, this
with
is
just
the
like
before scene,
with just like a rat tail.
Okay.
Because all
Okay.
of the puffy was gone.
all right.
So, the squirrel could not. He didn't do literal leaps and bounds anymore. He pretty much lived on our deck.
Okay. So
So now it's probably been about a year. But his tail's still messed up. It kind of grew back, but it's super messed up. You can still tell which one it is. But even without putting the food out there,
Yeah.
he comes out during the day whenever it's nice and sunny and just takes a nap on the handrail of our deck.
He's like, "Hey, Big Daddy," like
He
I'm here.
sprawls out
like sun tans almost.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to be like a carpet in a rich person's house, with the bear.
Oh,
but
just lounging
that's it,
out. It's
just
like, hey guys,
full out, nothing to worry about,
He
and
got
bathes in
the
the sun
life.
for like an hour. So that's the story of Hippo, who lives here.
Number 9, Something About Sports Episode 9, Losing at Winning. In this episode of our award-winning sports podcast, host Jake tells guest Dan Fraley of the Exploder Wrestling podcast all about some of the biggest winners who still lost in the world of sports. Something About Sports, the sports podcast for those who know nothing about sports.
We are talking about the 2004 Auburn Tigers.
Okay.
Okay. To give a bit of to our sports fans that are listening to understand this team, Ronnie Brown, who had a very successful NFL career, Cadillac Williams
That's a name.
had a very
Wow.
he had a pretty good probably about 4 or 5 year career where because he was just a big bruiser back. So they would literally have Ronnie Brown as the finesse back, and then third and ones, they'd bring Cadillac in, who would just end up like they'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna run him for 1 or 2 yards," and then he'd end up busting like a 46-yard run. That they're like, he's supposed to be our power back, but he's also quick as shit.
Yeah.
And then Jason Campbell, who had a great career, I believe, with the Redskins. Here's the hard part. Sometimes you go up against a team that just beats you.
Mhm.
It's devastating. It happens. But in this case, there wasn't a team. They were undefeated. Okay. They ended up, because at the time, we had the BCS,
Uh-huh.
where they picked the top 2 teams based off the AP polls, and those 2 got to play for the championship.
Mhm.
Auburn was number 3.
Yes.
Yes. So they went undefeated and did not get even a chance to play for a national championship.
There's a whole thing about that's shifty. I that's one thing I will say about college football. There's a whole, like I said, I have a cursory knowledge of it, not, this, that, and the other, but to me, that's always been really shifty. I don't think I've never heard of a league where like championships are up to a vote. That's weird to me. Because like the NBA finals are whoever wins.
I hated the BCS.
Yeah,
absolutely hated the BCS.
Like the NBA finals, hell, the Super Bowl. It's who wins. You know what I mean? It's not it's not a democracy. Like who's the best? Who's the best? The 85 Chicago Bears. They won every game but one. Well, you know what? They went to the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. That's how it works.
Number 8, the ZTOTV Roundtable, 2020 Year in Review. This special crossover podcast event streamed on our Facebook page on New Year's Eve, originally as part of our New Year's Eve podcast blast event. It features various hosts from the extended ZTOTV universe. The weirdest part about this 2020 recap is how little the panelists actually recap the year. It was 2020 after all. Who can blame them?
I didn't like the Chappelle Show, I'll be honest. At the time I might have, but watching it now, it's like, ugh, what the fuck? It's not that half-baked style comedy.
Dated now because
and I wasn't really big on it at the time. I mean, there was a couple things I liked, but I never like race stuff. I think it's like Chris Rock is not one of my favorites, and he does like almost exclusively race stuff. And it's like, all right, I understand some people, it's for some people, but I like this weird shit, like.
I hate white people too. They suck.
Yeah, honkies. Damn honkies.
Hey.
Yeah.
I just, he has a lot of good stuff, and the Chappelle Show didn't do the same stuff for me that his stand-up did. I don't know. And he always stuck like rap shit in there I didn't like. Kanye West would be on an episode.
Oh yeah, at the end. Yeah.
And I mean, I like some rap, but I didn't like anybody he had on for like musical guests.
You don't like the Roots?
No.
West love on there.
I'm sorry that you don't like the Roots.
I'm sorry that my taste is below yours. No, he was always like that more soul kind of stuff, and that's not my jam. I like to be stupid, to be honest. I mean, I like it to be dumb. The stuff I like in hip hop.
A lot of these speaking of rap, a lot of these millennial rappers had a rough year. They were dropping like flies.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Stayed at home and did fucking drugs.
They were hanging out with John Mulaney.
Was it Juice WRLD? Did he die in 2020 or was that 2019? I can't remember.
I think that was 2019 right at the end, but then it was like several other ones too that I only hear it through work because I work with young people and they go, "Did you hear that little pill popper died?" I'm like, "Oh,
Billy G. I wonder what it was. Lightning strike."
Yeah.
Yeah, this was named after a drug. What killed him? I don't know. Bear attack. What do you think killed him?
Ricky Tikki died of an overdose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Juice WRLD was one of the only ones I knew about before he died. Like he was one that I was listening to actively.
I don't listen. Like I'll admit, I don't listen to a lot of it. Like I don't listen. Like the newer shit. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't like it. But it's not for me, and that's fine. But like,
has rap ever been for you though?
Yeah, there's some older stuff that's okay, but the newer shit, it's mumble shit, and I can't handle it. But my thing is like when someone I literally never heard of, who's had 2 songs, they die of obvious reasons, and then everyone acts like they were a fucking legend. Like,
maybe
no, they weren't.
That's
they
like
had 2 songs.
That's like if a baseball player died, and everybody's like, "Damn, fucking Roger Wade died."
Wade Boggs played in the World Series.
Yeah,
and what Dan is saying is this kid dropped 2 albums.
I'm saying that
maybe 2 albums.
Yeah.
He was 22 years old.
And you're like, as a bunch of white dudes who are old as fuck. Maybe we're not like in the now with.
No. I appreciate that I'm not on top of things on that. I get that. What I'm saying is, you put out 1 mixtape, you're not Tupac.
I just want everybody to go back to baggy jeans. These tight jeans are not for me, man.
They're not for me. No.
Number 7, Schlockfest is a show about the resilience of friendship. On every episode of this movie review program, Jean-Paul Mantilla tortures co-host and friend Randy Woden to a terribly schlocky movie. Will Randy hate the film or actually end up having a good time is always a toss-up. Here's this month's 7th most popular download. Schlockfest Episode 30, Shock Treatment.
Richard O'Brien, who was in Rocky Horror and was also in, Flash Gordon as Timothy Dalton's character's right-hand man.
Hold on. Flash. Ah. Was that Emmett?
That was Emmett. So we're going to have to pause because I think he needs to go out.
We're not going to pause.
Well, I need to take him out because he's got to go potty.
You should have done that beforehand. That's too
I
bad.
didn't realize he was asleep.
Them's the breaks, son. That's the breaks.
He was asleep. I do have to take him out, though.
No, you don't. He can wait.
I don't want him to shit and pee
time.
down here.
He's on our time.
Well,
Fuck
I
you,
got to
Emmett.
do this. I got to do this.
All right, we'll pause. We'll be right back after Jean-Paul does the shit he should have done before the show. Stay tuned.
And now for a commercial break.
Are you tired of taking your dog for a walk and picking up after their mess? Are you tired of using grocery bags or products that are heavy and not useful? It can get very messy when your pet goes in the house or on the sidewalk or even your neighbor's lawn. We have the answer for you. Introducing Poo Trap, an amazing new innovation that eliminates the need of picking up after your dog.
And we're back. Hey, did you take your dog out like you should have done an hour ago? Awesome. Wow, you're a real responsible owner. Okay, cool. Anyways, back to the movie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure you got all that as I was berating you.
Number 6. What the Fuck Did I Just Watch is a study of bizarre television and film. Each month Jenny Morrow and Jean-Paul Mantilla welcome a guest to discuss science fiction, horror and unusual films of all different quality. Showcasing all the merit and mistakes of media from our past. If it makes you say, what the fuck? Then it belongs on this show. Here's a clip from this month's 6th most popular download, Episode 8, The 13th Hours.
I've been watching your show since V, and when you started in with the extra guests, Rebecca had 3 movies, which we'll be generous and call it 6 hours of homework. What was it? Pixie had 2 seasons of Storyteller, which is a 30-minute show. So there's 10, 15 hours. Your abbreviated list of episodes to watch for this was 42 hours. So, if you guys didn't want me on, you could have just said so instead of doing this weird hazing thing.
You said you had nothing to do.
Touche.
You were bored in your pod.
Right? I'll take that.
And in the end, I capitulated and just said, you know what, watch some shows. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wait, so you said Friday the 13th, the series, right? Like this series?
So let's talk about that, actually. So Friday the 13th, the TV series, Frank Mancuso Jr., correct me if I'm wrong, was the one behind that. And he was also behind Friday the 13th, the movie. And Correct. He was so successful with that when he made this series, which was originally going to be called The 13th Hour, he was like, fuck it, let's just capitalize on this Friday the 13th thing. I mean, 13th hour, Friday the 13th, it's fine. So most of us, well, at least me as a young kid, got suckered into watching it in the first place because we thought it was going to be some kind of series centered around like horror movies with Jason at like Camp Crystal Lake. And it wasn't.
Number 5. Up next on the countdown we have the last Roundup horror show, Murderous Teens. A review compilation themed around killer teens of all shapes and sizes. Some are addicted to finding love while others are seeking satanic power. The last Roundup horror show, these guys just love horror.
You start out this movie, you meet the nerd Marty, who's about to be seriously pranked by like a terrible group of people. It's like the popular people, I guess. I was laughing right off the bat with this movie. He's attempting to apply this condom, which looks like
that novelty condom.
I don't even know what it was like.
It's got like a sex toy built into the condom.
It looked really dangerous and uncomfortable, but yeah, I'll tell you what, he gets real embarrassed here, but goddamn, he's got a big old dick on him. He's got a big old dick on him. He shouldn't be embarrassed at all. He should have made friends. All those girls should have been like, "Fuck, Marty, shit," you know.
I was watching that with my wife. I was like, "Don't you look at that thing, you pervert!" I saw you were looking at it.
Number 4. Another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Watch hits the number 4 spot. On this episode, Jenny and Jean-Paul welcomed the last Roundup horror show's John Walmsley and his wife Charlene on the program to discuss the HBO series Lovecraft Country. Enjoy this clip and don't forget to click subscribe right now wherever you're listening to ZTOTV podcasts.
Lovecraft Country is great. I mean, it is loosely based off of the H.P. Lovecraft mythology, and I say loosely because it's not like all of his stuff, but it is his stuff. And as you may or may not know, H.P. Lovecraft was a racist asshat. So it's even more beautiful because the series is centered around a Black family, and it highlights the many forms of racism, especially in the 1950s. And unfortunately, you can still see much of it and many of it today. But the series doesn't make a big thing about H.P. Lovecraft being a racist. They call it out and then they move on and just follow on with the story. And I thought that was lovely. And what happens is you're following the main character, which is Atticus Freeman, as he's returning home to search for his father. And it turns out that his bloodline on his mama's side is basically imbued with extra magic, because way back in the day, this really rich white guy who was creepy and had a lot of magic and had a lodge with a whole bunch of other creepy white men who had money and power, raped one of his slaves, imbued the fetus with extra magic because he was going to, of course, use it in a ritual. And then you're following along where they're slowly figuring this out and being attacked on all sides for various reasons because people are after his blood. Then you have to deal with your standard racism, and then you have to deal with subplots where, like, you know, people want to kill him for this, people want to kill him for that, you know, and then there's just his own family trauma with an abusive dad. And it's just like an interesting, here's the whole plot, and then there's subplots that pop off of it. And you just see these characters attacked from all sides, which makes you very aware of the fact that pretty much every Black person in America probably is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And if not, I'm highly shocked. And with that, I'd just like to say that, like, really huge highlights of this stuff was you had amazing, amazing characters. They were like very well developed, multidimensional. Even some of the bad guys weren't just one-sided. If you had a one-dimensional character, it was probably just a white person. And it made sense because, you know, if you're a Black person, you're going to see somebody coming out to kill you as very one-dimensional. You're not going to really look at, oh, I wonder what their motivation is. You don't care.
Number 3. Up next we have our pro wrestling profile, the Exploder Wrestling Podcast. Each month Dan Fraley highlights some pro wrestling history, merchandise mistakes, unusually bad storyline decisions, bad gimmicks, legendary matches, Hall of Fame level performers, scandals, behind the scenes stories and much more. Here's a clip from his latest release, the 21st Annual Explodies, only on ZTOTV podcasts.
Rock vs. Mankind, the first halftime heat, which was good. Again, fought through the arena, pre-taped it, shot it like a movie, except for one thing that ruined it. And Mick Foley said this in his book, and I didn't really believe him, and then I watched it, and he was right. And again, I'm not one to question Mick Foley, but I was like, yeah, he makes sense, because he seems like the kind of guy who really overanalyzes, maybe, and he was 100% right of this. What makes, if you're going to pre-tape a match, if you're going to make a cinematic match or whatever the hell, what you need to do, what makes it best is you need to turn on a camera and just let guys fight. Make it look like a fight. And I'm not saying you can't pre-tape it. I mean, technically, if you want to talk about Edge and Randy Orton, that was a pre-taped match. They fought through the Performance Center, and that was done in segments. You could tell it was done in segments, and it was, you know, they go into this room and boom, boom, boom. They go to that room, they boom, boom, boom. They fight. Okay, they go to the next room, then they go to the gym, but it was like, it went a little long, but you saw two guys fighting, and just, it looked like someone just turned a camera on. When you decide to get fancy with it, that's when it ruins it. Rock and Mankind, halftime heat, 1999, these guys are fighting through the arena, knocking over chairs, The finish came. And in the finish, Mick Foley jumps on a forklift and lowers a pallet onto the Rock to get the win, to get the pin and win. The problem was one camera shot. Because up to this point, you're at the side. You're watching two guys fight their way through. Everything you're seeing, you just, someone turn a camera on, you're watching two guys beating the crap out of each other. And then in one camera shot, they got a bird's eye lens and they shot from above. So you saw the Rock looking up at the forklift coming down on him. And that shot alone made it into a movie. Because you have to think, if you're recording and you're watching two guys fight, you don't have time to go rent a crane, get above the guy, and then go action, and then get that reaction shot. And Mick Foley said in his book, he said that shot ruined it because it made it like a movie. And I didn't believe him, and then I watched it, and he's right. He is 100% right. That shot alone ruined it.
Number 2. Up next, we're talking about episode 61 of the last Roundup horror show. With Jason missing in action, Frank and John welcome Chiodos of What's the Word with Jay and Trent on the show to talk about 4 fantastic horror films. Please enjoy this clip from this unusual episode entitled Metal Boobs, Incest, Werewolf Denial and the Chiodos Brothers.
I know, John, you said a 10 out of 10. I did have a bad review of this that I was able to pull.
Whatever, I don't care what he says.
This person spelled out worthless for this movie. I'm sorry if I may offend some loyal fans of the series, but this film was a worthless piece of garbage. I've seen the other sequels, and the first one was better than of them all. I could neither follow nor understand Phantasm 4. This movie was such a cluster of unimaginative ideas. I thought this movie was a waste of time and effort, and the dialogue was whack. So someone says, so someone in the movie said, blow me in the movies, and no one says that in movies anymore. But this person said, I would rather have pepper or salt dashed in my eyes.
Let me do it.
And watch this film twice. God have mercy on our souls if there is another sequel to this mediocre sci-fi adventure.
Guess what, bitch? There's a 5. Suck it.
1 out of 10.
Nah. Oh, nah.
Yeah. So
it's so hard to follow. I get it.
But like I said, I followed up with that review. And from what I've seen, like I said, there's that scene where one of the characters, breast starts gyrating, detaches from her body. There's like these silver balls. They start attacking the main character, Reggie.
Yep.
And then he fights back with a tuning fork. I mean, where do you see that?
And then he bashes he bashes one with a sledgehammer.
Number 1. Number 1. The ZTOTV Takeover podcast is one of our longest running and least consistent programs. We've been doing the show for nearly a decade at this point, but only have released 47 episodes across that span of time. The show is casual discussion with people we love. In this episode, Frank and Josh welcome longtime friends Dusty Donley and Jared Collins of Mississippi Bones on the show to discuss their latest musical endeavors. Please dig on this clip of Jared ranting about the Mandalorian's mustache.
This is some shit I gotta get out.
All right, don't go too deep in this now.
I'm not. But everybody was talking about how great the new episode was.
This week's episode.
Yes. Am I the only one who was taken out completely? Because if you never show your face and always wear a mask, who the fuck shaves a mustache? That's fucking stupid. Like, what's he doing taking off his mask and looking in the goddamn mirror, knowing no one's ever going to see it and be like, you know what? I'm going to sculpt this motherfucker. I'm going to shave right here. And I'm going to shave right here. And I'm going to keep it all clean. This is staying. And I'm keeping the fucking stuff.
Dude, it makes all the sense in the world, because if you're never going to show your face, you can do all the stupid shit with your mustache that you want, man.
Yeah, but who fucking keeps a well-trimmed mustache if you live your life under a mask? You grow a beard or you shave it off.
He's still got to look in the fucking mirror when he gets out of the shower and shit.
That's right, man. He's got to brush his teeth. He's looking at himself.
They're not going to show the rated R activity that the Mandalorian does on Disney. They're just not going to. Who knows what he's doing with that mustache off hour?
Who the fuck looks at themselves in the mirror while brushing your teeth? That's the only time of day you see yourself. Brushing your teeth and be like, I can't fucking do this without a mustache.
Listen, we trim our bush and balls. We don't show that to everybody. Right? You should see the trick. You should see it.
I braid my nut hair to my fucking ass hair and fucking... I'm hoping to bring it up to the back of the hair back here, create a big loop, and then I'm gonna hang myself from a Christmas tree.
Yeah, you should see the trim job I got. I ain't showed it to nobody. Ain't nobody seen my work.
Thank you for listening to the best of ZTOTV podcasts for the month of January 2021. We hope you are all having a great new year so far and wish you all the best in these insanely bizarre times.